One of the shooters who was arrested, his name is Nicholas Morana.
Tonight, I want to talk about something that breaks my heart and makes me angry. Another mass shooting in New Orleans. Another tragedy that didn't have to happen. This time, it happened in the French Quarter. 3 masked men pulled up and started firing. 40 rounds. 1 person killed, 3 injured. We can't let this keep happening. Let's get into it.
Talk about briefly tonight, Mr. President. Breaks my heart, but it also makes me mad, but it does break my heart. On Thursday, November 21st, we had another mass shooting in New Orleans, this time in the French Quarter. It happened at the corner of Iberville and Royal Street across from Dickie Brennan's Steakhouse. 3 masked men pulled up in a car and started firing. Bystanders testified that they fired about 40 rounds. 1 person was killed. 3 others were injured. Some people, particularly back home, are probably thinking, Mr. President, okay, what else is new? Another mass shooting in Louisiana and in New Orleans. But this one was preventable.
So who is Nicholas Morana? He's 28 years old. He spent most of his adult life in prison. Armed robbery, gun charges, domestic battery. But our justice system let him walk. In January 2024, the district attorney gave him a deal. Instead of real consequences, Morana got probation. Morana didn't just violate probation once, he violated it repeatedly. In August, his probation officer requested revocation. Nothing happened. In September, he was arrested again for domestic abuse. Judge Roche put him on house arrest with an ankle monitor. Morana was allowed to leave daily from 9 to 6. For 45 days, he violated house arrest. The judge and DA knew, and still...
Mr. Morana is 28 years old. He has spent most of his adult life in prison. He is based on his record, a career criminal. He served 7 years in prison for armed robbery. He got out. Shortly thereafter, in 2023, Mr. President, Morana was arrested for a bunch of things: domestic battery, child endangerment, a series of gun charges, including being a felon with a firearm. What happened next is disgusting. In January of 2024, our district attorney offered Mr. Morana a really sweet deal. Forget about the child endangerment, forget about the domestic battery, forget about all the gun charges. The DA said you can plead guilty. He said this to Mr. Morana: you can plead guilty to attempted possession of a firearm by a felon. Attempted possession of a firearm by a felon. What? Attempted possession? I don't mean to be metaphysical here or teleological, but you either possess a firearm or you don't. I don't understand attempted possession of a firearm. Maybe it was because had Mr. Morana been offered a deal, take it or leave it, for possession of a firearm, as opposed to attempted possession of a firearm, which I didn't even know exists, it would have carried a 5-year sentence. Obviously, Mr. Morana took the deal. And he appeared before Judge Leon Roche in our criminal court in New Orleans. Mr. Roche gave him probation. 8 months later, while he's on probation, Mr. Morana violated his probation. And his probation officer sought to revoke his probation. Then 1 month later, nobody did anything about revoking his probation. So 1 month later, Morana was arrested for domestic abuse battery. He went back before Judge Roche. Judge Roche didn't revoke his probation. He just gave him house arrest and told him he had to wear an ankle monitor. That was in September of 2024. Then, a little bit later, Judge Roche decided to lighten even those conditions. He allowed Mr. Morana to be free every day from 9 to 6. Every day, 9 to 6. Supposedly to go to work. Beginning October the 8th, Mr. Morana violated the judge's orders every single day. Every single day for 45 days. How do we know this? He had on an ankle monitor. And the monitor company reported to the district attorney and to Judge Roche that Mr. Morana is violating the terms of his house arrest and ankle monitoring. 45 days. You know what the district attorney did? You know what Judge Roche did? Nothing. Zero. Zilch. Nada. I've already told you how this story ends. Allegedly, I have to say allegedly, he's been arrested for it anyway. Mr. Morana and 3 of his buddies put on a mask, got in a Honda, killed somebody in the French Quarter, and shot 3 others. Mr. Morana was caught. You know how he was caught? He had on an ankle monitor. He was caught within hours. This was a system failure, Mr. President.
The consequences of inaction. And then, just a few months later, Morana and 3 others put on masks, got into a Honda, and opened fire in the French Quarter. How was Morana caught? By his ankle monitor. It had been alerting authorities for 45 days.
I love New Orleans. I used to live in New Orleans. I earned a living in New Orleans. I met my wife in New Orleans. My son lived the first couple of years of his life in New Orleans. I love New Orleans. What did Tennessee Williams say? America has only 3 cities: New York, San Francisco, and New Orleans. Everything else, Tennessee Williams said, is Cleveland. Now, before my friends in Cleveland get mad at me, I didn't say it, Tennessee Williams said it. But I think what Mr. Williams was trying to convey is what an extraordinary, unique city New Orleans is. Every other state in America would kill to have a New Orleans. 20 million people from all over the world come to visit this city in America, which is perhaps the most European city, the most diverse city in our country. And I love New Orleans. But New Orleans deserves better. I wish this hadn't happened. I wish there weren't people in this world like Mr. Morana. But there's some people in this world, they just habitually, consistently hurt other people. And they take other people's stuff. I wish they wouldn't, but they do. I don't know why they do. If I make it to heaven, I'm going to ask. But they do. And they've got to be separated from society. And our judges and our district attorneys are not doing anybody in New Orleans a favor by not putting those folks into jail. It breaks my heart. It also makes me mad.
New Orleans deserves better. I love New Orleans. I lived there. I met my wife there. I built a life there. It's a city unlike any other in America, and it deserves better. Our judges, our district attorneys, they're letting criminals walk free and putting innocent people in danger. We need real consequences and accountability, and leaders who prioritize public safety. Call to action. If you agree that something needs to change, hit that subscribe button. I'll keep exposing the failures and fighting for a safer New Orleans. Like, share, and spread the truth. Conclusion. This shooting should never have happened. It wasn't just a random act of violence, it was a result of a broken system. We need a justice system that protects the innocent. New Orleans deserves better. I won't stop talking about it.